Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us here today at Penobscot Marine Museum. Please put your questions and comments below. We love hearing from you. This picture is of a bark, which was built in 1855 by Marshall Dutch in Searsport, the town where our museum is. This painting was painted by Luigi Renault. Later, Renault became the Royal Marine Artist of Italy. You can see at the bottom, it says Bark Lucy A. Nichols of New York, off Leghorn, which is the anglicized version of Livorno. Lucy Nichols is the daughter of Jeremiah Merrithew. He built his home on Church Street in Searsport, and it's now one of the buildings that makes up our museum. Lucy Nichols' daughter is Clara, whose portrait we saw in the Dolly Smith episode of Peek into Paintings. So we can see Livorno in the background. And this long wall is one of the large breakwaters that protects the harbor, making a more gentle anchorage for ships. I think that this is the longest breakwater, the Diga Curvilinia, built in 1852. There's a little lighthouse on the end, a faro, and a tall one, the Fanali dei Pisani. In this painting, this lighthouse is very old, built in 1303, with white verruca stone from San Giuliano cave near Pisa. This was destroyed in 1944 by German troops during World War II. There is a replica there today. I like the figurehead in her red, white, and blue and her mid-19th century hairdo. Men busy on deck. Like a steamship that also has sailing capabilities and a beautiful big lateen rig.
John says, wonderful detail, amazing straight lines from a brush, and Maria likes your nice figurehead.
Thank you. So here's another painting of Livorno. Back in 1017, Livorno was a small coastal village. I love this painting. It's just full of things to look at. There's a guy fishing over here. A lady in a boat being rowed somewhere. And I'm so curious what's happening here. The guy's talking and she's got her arms crossed. Is she not listening? Doesn't want to listen? Here's another one of the breakwaters. Maybe that same big long one, the Diga Curvilinia, with that curvy lighthouse at one end. These guys are discussing something. They look like important people. Little doggy, some ships, another lighthouse at the end of the other end of the long breakwater. That same big lighthouse here. Look at the crowd of ships. I don't even think I could count. It's like there's hundreds. And a packed city with buildings all closely together and more. These look like smaller fishing vessels. And this is the Fortezza Vecchia. Parts of this ancient keep were built by Matilda of Tuscany, a powerful leader in 11th century Italy. After a childhood full of adventure, including getting arrested and sent to Germany in 1055, Her parents arranged a marriage for her with Godfrey the Hunchback. That did not work out. She left him and was widowed in 1076 when he was assassinated. She owned a large part of northern Italy and was centrally involved in an extended power struggle between the popes and the emperors. She led armies, brokered deals, and she built 100 churches. In her 40s, she married Wilf the Fat, teenage son of the Duke of Bavaria, but that marriage didn't work out either. He was too intimidated to go to bed with her. Layers of fortress continued to be built up around and on top of her original keep over a number of years, including 1534. This faceted domed building over back here is the Santa Caterina da Siena, a Dominican church. Construction started in 1720, and the facade is still unfinished today. The inside is elaborately decorated.
Sarah, how
Yes.
big is this painting? Because these are a lot of really detailed parts in this painting. So are they actually really, really small?
That is a very good question. I do not know. I actually have not seen the original of this painting. It is in storage. So I will have to look that one up and get back to you on that. Neolithic artifacts have been found in caves in the hills behind here. We've got kind of an interesting contrast. There's a lot of sort of gray, angular, stark walls, but then we have this sort of soft, warm evening light. What do you think? What feelings do you associate with this image? Thank you once again for joining us today at Penobscot Marine Museum. Here's something a little different. This is a fun illustration of flags or naval ensigns from 1823. It was printed in Livorno, and then all of the colors were painted in by hand. Europe is portrayed up here by a woman in a crown holding a church, and there's a horse, and it looks like she has a mallet, and I'm not sure what all else is going on in there. Maybe that's a shield. We can see that same tall lighthouse depicted here. Liburni is Latin for the people of Livorno. So not Italian, but Latin. Here's Asia over here. Asia has incense and a plant, I'm guessing tea. And then I'm not sure, is this a lamb or a goat? So the flags are from various countries and ports around the Mediterranean. Here are a variety of flags from Britain and France. We have Russia. I never did figure out what Stralsund is. I'm not sure where that is. Prussia was a Germanic state that lasted from 1525 to 1932. Austria, America, Sardinia, Spain. Netherlands, the Ionian Islands, Bremen, Sweden, Portugal, Toscana, Denmark, Hamburg. This red and blue flag is the flag of Greece under the Ottoman Empire, Norway, Napoli, and Sicilia. I did not say that quite right. Jerusalem. And then interestingly, these flags are for the Vatican, and someone made a little note that wrote Pope. So the little notes on here suggest that someone, maybe a sea captain, actually was using this as a practical reference. Some more Ottoman ports there, and the note taker wrote Turkish. Tunisia, Haiti, Morocco, Tripoli, Algeria. Oh, Tunisia. The patron saint of Livorno is Saint Julia. She grew up in Carthage, an ancient Phoenician settlement in what is now Tunisia. The Vandals migrated to Iberia and then Africa, where Julia was captured and enslaved probably in the year 439. Africa, this allegorical lady representing Africa has an elephant mask or headdress, a scorpion, and is that a palm? With snakes and a lion. And the American, on the other side, has bow and arrow and an alligator or a crocodile. There are a few in Central America, but mostly in the US and South America, we have alligators. I find these allegorical ladies sort of revealing about what the view of these areas was by the person who drew these. If you were going to draw a lady to represent North America, what would she be wearing? And what would she be holding in her hands? America and Haiti are interesting to note on this chart of ensigns. These are the only two flags from the Americas represented here. They are also the only two American colonies that have achieved independence by 1823. You all know all about the American independence from Britain. The Haitian Revolution, led by Toussaint Louverture and other formerly enslaved Africans, eventually led to independence from France in 1804. Like many newly independent colonies, Haiti struggled with internal strife and division and was not recognized by other nations for decades. France did not recognize Haiti's independence until 1825. And then only in exchange for a huge financial settlement that was paid out over the ensuing 60 years. You might think that the United States would have been eager to welcome another independent colony onto the world stage, but our southern slaveholding states were extremely frightened of a violent revolt of enslaved people within their own borders, and so would never agree to formal diplomatic relations with a country that had been founded on that kind of revolution. Thus, Haiti was not recognized by the US until the American Civil War. The name Haiti is from the Taino, the indigenous language of that part of the Caribbean. This is the Mary Genis. This vessel was built in Joseph Oakes's shipyard in Brewer. Joseph is the dad of Captain Oakes, who sailed the barkentine down to New York, loaded up, sailed to Livorno in 1876. While there, he commissioned a portrait by Luigi Renault. Square sails on the foremast, like this, and then fore and aft sails on the main and mizzen mast means a barkentine. Barkentines require a smaller crew, and you can handle it better in lots of different kinds of winds, having all this wide variety of different shapes and orientation of sails. This is one of the few court paintings with detailed images of the crew, which I find fun. There's the captain standing on top of the cabin, holding his spyglass and gesturing grandly. There is someone over here steering. And this guy here, he might be saying, I don't know, I think you should go a little more over to the left. This man looks like he's carrying dinner back to the aft of the ship where the captain's cabin is. This guy's looking out from the forecastle. This man looks like he's getting some rope around the capstan, or maybe taking it off. And this guy he's doing very clearly that rope coiling gesture where you pull it out at the exact same length and make even sized coils. A few years later, Oakes took his daughter, 13-year-old Margaret Oakes, with him on the next trip to the Mediterranean in 1880. He wanted her to practice her French. We read some of her journal in the episode about France. And we can see Livorno in the background again. And now I bet you're probably starting to recognize some of the landmarks. Here's that old fort with the keep built by Matilda. And here's that really long breakwater with the lights. And that other very old lighthouse here. Ships from Penobscot Bay went to Livorno for goods like oil, wine, and candied fruit. They brought coal, coffee, cotton, and tobacco, and salted fish from the Americas. Thank you so much for joining us here today at Penobscot Marine Museum. Thank you to our members and donors. Thank you to Fabio for helping me with pronunciation of Italian names. Any mistakes are my own, of course. This programming has been brought to you in part by the National Endowment for the Humanities, Exploring the Human Endeavor. Take care.